Alright, so welcome back everyone. In this video we will be going over the Google Sheets assignment that was in the Coda Tech Training presentation. If you did not attend this training, you will have to watch it via YouTube or on the website. So just a reminder that if you did not attend in person, you will have to watch that video and complete the quizzes. So for this assignment, we will be building a spreadsheet using Google Sheets, and we'll be using it as an attendance tracker. So once I open up Google Sheets, I will be looking for a template titled attendance. This will be a list of an example for staff attendance. So we'll have to change the calendar dates, add in staff names to attendance list, as well as go through and put in mock data for absent and present attendance. I will show you how you can edit this document as far as the color, template, style, font styles, very similar to Google Docs, as well as show you how to export that file, meaning downloading it as a CSV file, as well as sharing it with others. So we will go ahead and get started here. So same as before, I will be going to my Google page. I'm looking for Drive. Once I go to my Drive, I'm going to click on New. And when I click on New, I'm going down to Sheets this time. From there, I'm going over to the right, and I will select from a template. And as you can see, there are templates here that are available, just as it was with the Google Docs. However, they are all templates for different types of spreadsheets. Some people will use these for purchasing reports, invoices, timesheets, financial statements, budgets, and even project management. But in our case, we'll mostly be using that for attendance tracking. So I'm going to go ahead and select the attendance template. Alright, so once the template is open, you will notice that unlike Google Docs, Google Sheets is set up in a format that isn't like a regular blank page. Instead, it has columns and rows, and these columns and rows are categorized based on either letters or numbers. So each one of the cells within your document have both a longitudinal and a latitudinal direction. Think of it that way, as if in a map. So if I wanted to edit, let's say, this cell here, it would be cell D2 or D3, I'm sorry. And for this one, this would be cell F3. This here would be cell B5. And over here would be P7. So each one of your cells are basically named based on the column and the row. So the first thing I want to do is I want to change the title of this document. So I will go up here to the very top, and once I click in this box here that says attendance, I can change that to whatever title I want. So in this box, I will type staff attendance and hit enter. Now, as soon as that happened, it is now saved as staff attendance in my Google Drive. From there, I need to change the calendar dates to fill the entire month of January. So as you can see, these dates are not correct. And in order to fill the entire month of January, which has 31 days, we will have to add in additional columns. So what I'm going to do is, starting from here on 9/4, which is the very first date, I'm going to go ahead and type in 1-1-21 and hit enter. Now, if you look up here at the top, there's this white bar. And in that white bar, it's going to show you the formula or whatever is inputted in that cell. It will project it up here. So this cell knows that I am trying to title this as January the 1st, 2021. So instead of me having to go one by one, filling in each date, I can just click back on the 1-1 January 1 box, and then watch what happens when I drag my pointer over this small box in the corner. Okay, it turns into a cross. When that happens, I can click and hold and drag across all these cells. It'll change it automatically. So I will go back over that box, click and hold, and I'm dragging across every single one. Don't drag too far, just drag to the very end and release. So as soon as it releases, it's going to fill in each correct date, as well as the days of the week will change automatically. So this will line up with this year's calendar. And like I said, it only stops at January 20th. So we need 11 more columns here. So I'm going to go up here to the top to V, and I'm going to click on column V, since it is the column that I need to add columns to the right. And I'm going to right click on it. When I do that, it gives me an option of insert one right. I want to click on insert one right. And that added a new column to the right. So since I need 11, I'm going to do it again. And again. And to make it a little bit faster, I can select W and Y at the same time. I'm just gonna, when you click and hold, you don't want to hold too long, because if you do, it's thinking that you want to move those cells somewhere like this. That's not what you want to do. So you just want to click on them long enough to where they're selected and drag. It's a little bit faster. You'll just have to practice that. And then when I select it this time, it says insert 3 to the left or insert 3 to the right. So now it knows that when I want to duplicate and add a new column in, I'm going to do it by 3s. So I can do that twice. Alright, I'm going to click and hold. And there. So now we have from January 1 up into January 31. And in order to keep the same pattern going for the day of the week, you do the exact same thing. Click and hold and drag. Alright, so now that that's fixed, we will move on to the next step, which is add staff names to the attendance list. So because we're on a limited time frame here, I will just add in a few names, such as myself, and then maybe Savannah, and Debbie, Claire, Perry, and Esther. Okay? So after I do that, which if you had a whole class full of children, you would add each one of their names. And then the next step is to change class name to staff January attendance and delete the word teacher. So I'm going to go up here to staff class name, and I'm changing that to staff attendance, staff January attendance. Hit enter. And then since I'm already over the box that's titled teacher, I can go ahead and hit backspace or delete. And now it's gone. So just an extra tip, to kind of move around the spreadsheet, you can use your 4 arrows on your keyboard, your up, down, left, and right, and that's kind of an easy way to move around in Google Sheets. But if you don't like that, you can always use your mouse instead. Now, as we see, staff January attendance kind of got cut off. I can't see it all the way. So what I'll have to do is go up here to the top, click on the column itself on B. And if I go to the very right hand side of B, my pointer changes into this line with 2 arrows. I'm going to click and hold B, not too long there. And then I want to drag, and that will increase the length of B. Okay. So our next step here is, now we want to go in and input random attendance data for each staff. So we want to make sure that we use the correct letters to represent absent and present. It's not a big deal, but it is if you are using a formula. Template itself, they had excused absences and unexcused absences. So we could condense that, but I will go ahead and follow what they have. So for example, let's say I was a great employee and I showed up 7 days a week for an entire month. That would be insane, but let's just pretend. All right. And then let's say Savannah was present. However, she was late for about a week. And then every day after that, she was present. As you can see, I'm kind of using a short-handed method here, but it's very similar to what we did before. It's just whatever you input in one square, you can go back to that bottom right-hand corner, click and hold and drag, and it will copy it across multiple cells. All right, and let's say Debbie was absent, but it was excused for 4 days. And then it was unexcused for 3 days. And then she was present for the rest of the time. All right. And then Claire had many unexcused absences. Sometimes she was late, and then some present. All right, so we'll use that just. All right, so when we look over here, because there are formulas inputted into these squares, these cells here, so if I click on under, let's say late, it's running a count if formula. So the way to be able to distinguish between a formula on Excel or Sheets is to know that every formula is going to start with this equal sign. So whenever I type in an equal sign into that Excel cell or the sheet cell, it's going to pull up a long list of formulas that I could use. So these formulas basically eliminate the extra time I would spend on trying to manually add up a list of numbers or to count a list of things, such as this case. So instead of me going through each of the staff members every single day and counting how many times they were present, I can just use the formula, the count if formula, and then input the proper format for that, which I'll show you. And once I hit enter, it's going to automatically do what I told it to do. So for example, in this count if, I am telling this cell itself that if there is a cell between C4, which C4 is here, which is our first day that we're counting, if it's between C4 and AG4, which is this cell, then I want you to count whether or not it has the same letter in it as AJ3. So if I'm looking for AJ3, it's this present. So it's counting how many times between C4 and AG4 does the letter P show up. And it shows up 31 times, which is accurate because I was present every day. And so the same thing happens here for Savannah. It's counting how many times does P show up between C5 and AG5. And it's 24 because she was late 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. So that's accurate. And then you can see that in this cell, it's counting how many times in that range, which is C5 to AH5, will the letter L show up, which is in cell A13. The reason that there are dollar signs there is because without the dollar signs, if I copied this formula down the row of cells, without the dollar signs, it's going to automatically change to the next cell. So for example, if I wanted to count the absences, but I forget to put a dollar sign here, and this dollar sign represents AK3, which is E, so it wants to count how many E's are here. If I forget that dollar sign and I hit enter, and let's say I wanted to copy it down this row, okay, if I copy down this row, you can see that Debbie had 4 E's, 4 times she had excused absences, but it's not counting it. Why? Because if I look up at the formula, that AK is changing. It's going down each row. So the first time I was counting AK3, which is correct. E is an AK3. But once I go down to Savannah, it changed to AK4. Once it goes down to Debbie, it changes to AK5. But my E is not there. So that's why I have to, on the first cell, put a dollar sign here. The dollar sign says do not change this number or this cell. Always keep it at AK3. Just change which row you're counting. And then I select all of the rows, and then you can see that it's accurate again. So once that is over, another thing that's important to note is that you can alter the colors or any types of scheme, you can alter the colors or any themes that are present within the Google Sheet. So in order to do that, I would have to go up to the the left hand corner and click here. Once I click here, it will select every row and every column. And then I can go up to Format. And once I go to the Format tab, there will be an option called Alternating Colors. So click on that. Alternating colors is really great, especially when you want to distinguish between each row of people. So if you have a hard time kind of following the row from left to right, I would use alternating colors. You can pick any color here, but really it just helps for each row to stand out more. So if I want to choose this color, I go ahead and select it, and then I hit close. So now it has changed each row either white or this green, blue-green color. I can even change anything up top here, so I can select rows 3 to 1, and then go to the very top to the paint bucket that says fill color. Select that, and I can change that to, let's say, a gray. Alright. And for instance, this text is kind of small for me to read, so I want to select all and then change my font size to 18. So when I do that, you can see that everything's kind of crunched together and it's hard to read. You can fix that by selecting every column, making sure all the columns are selected, and then right click and go to resize columns A through AN. You can either select a specific size that will make each one uniform, or you can hit fit to data. When you hit fit to data, it will adjust based on how large the content is within the cell. So when I hit fit to data, you see that this one, the wording is pretty long, so B is a lot larger than X through AG because you only have a little bit of wording or numbers there. So it's going to adjust based on what you put in that. Alright. So that's one option. The only bad thing is that for me, my window is small because my screen isn't that large. So everything looks quite condensed. I would have to go to the very top of my page and zoom out. I can zoom out here, which makes it a lot easier to read, or I can zoom out of my entire internet browser. So once that's done, the last thing you need to do again is to share. So I can hit share, and of course we would add in the user email address here that we would want to share it to. And when you do that, you receive the same options as you did before. You can make them editors, commenters, or viewers. I'm not going to share that. However, whenever you want to download this file, you can download it either as a Microsoft Excel file, or you can download it as a PDF most of the time. There's other different formats to use, but I would recommend using a Microsoft Excel file for sure. Unless you were creating some type of table that you would use for class or something like that, then a PDF would be great. However, it's a little bit difficult when printing something out using the spreadsheet. You have to really specify what portion of the spreadsheet you want printed out. So for instance, if I wanted to save this as a PDF file. Okay, it's going to show me a preview of what it would look like. So on a page, if this entire spreadsheet only covers half of a page, it's going to print out really small. You kind of have to think about it that way. So it's going to be very small and hard to read. However, there are different ways that you can print the sheet out. So up here where it says export, right now it's on current sheet. The current sheet is the entire sheet that I'm filling out data in. However, there's something that's called selected cells, or the cells that your mouse pointer has selected and highlighted. Now, if I would go back to my spreadsheet and I would only select the attendance data for me, Savannah, Debbie, and Claire, if I select that and highlight it, then if I go back to download as a PDF, I can change the export to selected cells, and now you see that it's only printing out what I selected. So I could either scale those to fit the width, or I could scale to fit the height, and then I can also scale to fit page. All of these things kind of change how large the Excel file is going to print out. But like I said, it's very difficult to see, obviously, because you don't want your rows and columns to be cut in half. So it's really a lot of time to really format it correctly. Once you're finished sharing with me and then downloading this as a CSV file to your computer, you have finished the training.